60s. We're actually talking about World War II, specifically the 761st Tank Battalion.
Yeah, the original Black Panthers. And this stack of sources really forces you to look the war differently. You've got a unit effectively fighting two wars at once, the Wehrmacht in Europe and, well, the Jim Crow segregation system right back here in the United States.
And the sources show the military establishment fully expected them to fail. There was this infamous 1925 War College study claiming African Americans were technically incapable of armored warfare.
Right, the mental deficiency argument. The prevailing belief was that black soldiers lacked the mechanical aptitude or even the psychological stability to handle modern tanks.
Which is crazy when you think about it.
It is. I mean, a Sherman tank isn't just a truck with a gun. It requires really complex coordination, radio comms, ballistics, driving under fire. The brass just thought it was above their heads.
Which brings us to the massive irony in this timeline, that prejudice actually backfired on the skeptics.
Exactly. Because the Army was so hesitant to deploy them, the 761st didn't get the standard 6 months of training. They were held in this training pattern for over 2 years.
While white units were being rushed to the front with just the basics.
Yeah, they were stuck in the stirts, but that meant they had time to master every single position in the tank. By the time they finally shipped out, every man could drive, load, shoot, and command.
They were arguably the best trained unit in the entire Army.
Because they'd been practicing for years.
But that waiting period came with a serious cost. Being stuck in the Jim Crow South, specifically Camp Hood down in Texas, meant dealing with intense local segregation. And this is actually where the Jackie Robinson connection comes in.
It's wild to realize the man who broke baseball's color barrier was their morale officer. And he never actually deployed with them.
Because he refused to move to the back of a military bus at Camp Hood.
Right, even though the Army had technically outlawed segregation on base buses, he stood his ground, got court-martialed for insubordination, and had to fight this legal battle while his unit shipped out.
It really highlights that double burden for you, fighting for your rights just to get the chance to fight for your country.
So the unit lands in France in October 1944, minus Robinson, and they get attached to General Patton's Third Army. Now, Patton wasn't exactly a champion of civil rights.
No, but he was a ruthless pragmatist. He needed armor. He gave them that famous speech saying, I don't care what color you are as long as you go up there and kill those Kraut Sunsoft bitches.
And the 761st took that to heart. The combat stats here are just staggering. They spent 183 days in continuous combat.
Which is incredibly unusual, right?
Very. Most armored units were rotated off the line to rest and repair. The 761st just kept grinding. And the casualty rate obviously reflected that.
We have to mention Staff Sergeant Reuben Rivers here. His story is the absolute definition of grit. His tank hit a mine near Gubbling, slashing his leg completely down to the bone.
By all regulations, that is an immediate evacuation.
But he refused the morphine.
Yeah, he knew he needed to stay lucid to command. He literally took over another tank and led the advance for 3 more days with a catastrophic leg injury, until he was eventually killed covering a retreat.
And it took until 1997 for him to receive the Medal of Honor, a 50-year delay. But despite the lack of recognition at the time, they were incredibly effective. They pierced the Siegfried Line, that massive German defensive wall, and were crucial in the Battle of the Bulge.
I think the emotional climax of the sources isn't a battle, though. It's May 1945, when they helped liberate the Gunskirchen concentration camp.
That scene is heavy. You have black soldiers who have lived under legalized segregation walking into a camp where the Nazi ideology of Aryan supremacy has been taken to its ultimate horrific conclusion.
One veteran, Floyd Dade, compared the starving inmates to the history of the Middle Passage and slavery. It was a psychological mirror for them.
Looking at the victims of racism abroad while carrying the scars of racism from home. It's a profound realization.
And their performance at Gunskirchen, the Siegfried Line, those 183 days, it destroyed the argument that integration wouldn't work.
Their record directly influenced President Truman to desegregate the military in 1948 with Executive Order 9981.
Even if the unit itself didn't get their presidential unit citation until 1978 from Jimmy Carter.
Better late than never. But it leaves us with a final thought to chew on today. These men exemplified a very specific, difficult kind of patriotism. They fought to liberate a country that refused to grant them their own freedom. That
tension of fighting for an ideal that doesn't yet include you, I think it completely redefined what American citizenship actually means.